feud between It Ends With Us stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is now threatening to pull in Taylor Swift. After her name surfaced in court documents, Baldoni's lawyer says he could depose the star singer. And now a new $7 million lawsuit's been filed, this time against Lively.
On my part, one thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail.
Time progressed in this film. She decided that she wanted to be a producer. She started to make edits. She wanted to be part of the editing team. There were people hired, like human beings actually hired to do the editing job, who had done work as editors.
The drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is intensifying, and things are getting more complicated by the day. Justin Baldoni and his legal team have responded forcefully to the accusations Blake made in her lawsuit against him. In the lawsuit, Blake accused Justin of harassment and misconduct, but within just 48 hours of the filing, Justin's team fired back with their own claims, calling her a liar and asserting that they had evidence to prove her allegations were false. The battle between the two has been escalating ever since, and the situation has now drawn in other high-profile names, including Blake's husband, Reynolds, and various people within the entertainment industry. Justin has since released text messages, behind-the-scenes footage, and other evidence in an effort to support his side of the story. According to Justin's legal team, they're only just getting started with the evidence they plan to present, suggesting that the case is far from over and could drag on for quite some time. It's shaping up to be a long and messy legal battle, with more revelations expected to emerge as the case progresses. For those who may not have been following the situation closely, things started spiraling when Justin Baldoni, alongside Jimmy Heath, Wayfair Studios, and his publicist, filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. The lawsuit accused the publication of working with Blake Lively to distort the facts and misrepresent the truth in an article that made serious allegations against Justin. This lawsuit was the first legal move Justin made after Blake's claims were published, but it was only the beginning of the legal saga. Shortly afterward, Justin filed a second lawsuit, this time targeting Blake Lively and her husband, Reynolds, directly. This second lawsuit is where things really started to heat up, with references to Game of Thrones, Taylor Swift, and some very questionable text messages coming into play. Justin's first lawsuit against the New York Times centered on his claim that the publication conspired with Blake to craft a one-sided narrative that painted him and his associates in a negative light. According to Justin, when the New York Times reached out to him and his team before publishing the story, they were told that Blake's version of events was inaccurate. Despite this, the article was published, and Justin believes it was part of a coordinated effort over the course of several weeks to push Blake's narrative and undermine his reputation. Justin even accused the New York Times of rushing to publish the article 2 hours earlier than scheduled, allegedly to control the public perception of the situation before more facts could emerge. During a press conference held by Justin's legal team, they elaborated on their claims, suggesting that the New York Times actively participated in a smear campaign orchestrated by Blake's publicist. They believe that Blake's team deliberately fed selective information to the media to portray her as the victim, leaving out key details that would have exonerated Justin and his associates. As for Blake, instead of immediately filing a lawsuit, she initially submitted a right-to-sue letter with the California Civil Rights Department, which allowed her to bypass the discovery process and keep certain details confidential. However, now that everything has become public, Justin's legal team argues that Blake's real goal was not a lawsuit but rather a strategic move to boost her credibility and image in the public eye. One of the most significant aspects of Blake's lawsuit was her claim that Justin and his team attempted to destroy her reputation by using their media connections to spread negative stories about her. Blake even produced text messages that she said proved her allegations. However, Justin's legal team quickly countered, accusing Blake of doctoring these messages to make it seem like there was a coordinated effort to bring her down. In response, Justin's team released their own set of receipts, a series of internal discussions that painted a very different picture. In one such exchange, members of Justin's team expressed concern over Blake's PR team pushing fabricated positive stories about her to the media. In the messages, Justin himself is seen asking, "How can we prove we aren't doing this? It looks bad." His colleagues assured him that Blake's team was responsible for the positive press, not them. Another PR representative in the conversation dismissed the situation, explaining that people were simply reacting to Blake's own behavior rather than any orchestrated smear campaign. Justin's legal team went even further by pointing out that Blake had manipulated text messages to fit her narrative. For instance, Blake shared a message where someone sent her an article titled, "Could Blake Lively be cancelled?" and a team member responded, "Wow, you outdid yourself with this." However, according to Justin's team, Blake removed key context, including emojis and sarcasm, making the response appear serious when in fact it was intended as a joke. At one point, Justin shared a TikTok video from celebrity gossip blogger Perez Hilton, in which Perez claimed that someone from Justin's team had contacted him and encouraged him to post negative content about Blake. Justin immediately reached out to his PR representative, Melissa, asking, "This isn't us, right?" Melissa quickly shut down the rumor, reassuring Justin that no one on their team would ever do such a thing. She also dismissed Perez as a troll, noting that credible outlets would never take him seriously. In another set of text exchanges, members of Justin's team discussed articles that had surfaced about Blake's past controversies. Melissa reiterated that they had no prior knowledge of these issues and that the media was simply doing what it always does, digging up dirt when there's a controversy. She explained to Justin that once the media gets hold of a story, they tend to run with it, making it difficult to control the narrative. She even added that Blake had effectively handed the media a goldmine of negative stories on a silver platter, indicating that Blake's own actions were fueling the media frenzy rather than anything Justin's team had done. One of the biggest blows to Blake's credibility came in the form of a text conversation between her publicist, Leslie Sloan, and a Daily Mail reporter named James. In the exchange, Leslie insisted, "I'm not paid to take people down. I'm honest," James responded, claiming that Justin's PR team hadn't done anything to harm Blake and that Melissa had given him the same information that she had given Leslie, that the backlash against Blake was organic and not the result of a coordinated effort. Despite this, Leslie disagreed with James' assessment. James also revealed that he had never heard anything about Blake's allegations against Justin until much later and mentioned that Leslie had never brought up these claims during their earlier conversations. He went on to accuse Leslie of having a history of feeding reporters information and then later denying it when her clients got upset. Blake's lawsuit also alleged that Justin's PR team celebrated after shutting down HR complaints on the set of a project, which many assumed were related to sexual harassment. However, Justin's legal team presented evidence to counter this claim, revealing an email from TMZ that clarified the nature of the HR complaints. According to the email, the complaints were not about sexual harassment but rather workplace conflicts. TMZ reporter even mentioned that multiple sources on set had described Justin as a nice guy and suggested that the real issue was Blake's inflated ego. Melissa later sent a message to TMZ, explaining that Blake's team wrongly believed that Justin's team was behind the negative stories when in reality they weren't. The TMZ reporter responded with a cryptic message, "Wait till I tell you the whole story. You think you know, but you don't. I've never come across anything like this in my career." Blake's lawsuit also contained a particularly strange claim involving one of Justin's associates, Jamie Koo. According to Blake, Jamie showed her a video that she initially thought was explicit adult content. However, the video turned out to be a recording of Jamie's wife giving birth, which Blake described as a disturbing experience. Jamie defended himself by explaining that the video was a personal moment with nothing inappropriate about it, and he even shared a still image from the video to dispute Blake's harassment allegations. Blake also accused both Justin and Jamie of repeatedly entering her trailer uninvited while she was in a state of undress, including while she was breastfeeding. However, Justin's legal team provided evidence that contradicted this claim. A text message from Blake to Justin showed that she was the one inviting him into her trailer, saying, "I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work on our lines." Justin replied, "Copy, eating with the crew, then I'll head over." This exchange directly contradicted Blake's allegation and suggested that there was more context missing from her version of events. Blake also claimed that Justin objectified her by pushing to make her character in their film look sexier. However, Justin's team shared text messages that showed Blake herself was enthusiastic about enhancing her character's appearance. In one message, she described an outfit as much sexier and commented, "As a girl, I'd check that out walking down the street." These messages suggest that Blake was actively involved in decisions regarding her character's appearance and that Justin was not forcing her to be objectified, as she claimed. In another significant part of Blake's lawsuit, she accused Justin of forcing her into unwanted kissing scenes and making frequent inappropriate comments about his intimate life. Justin responded by explaining that Blake had refused to work with the film's intimacy coordinator, which meant that he had to handle those discussions himself, even though he was reluctant to do so. Despite her refusal to meet with the coordinator, Justin and Blake eventually worked on the intimate scenes together. He argues that their conversations were focused on character development and professional matters, not inappropriate discussions, as Blake had alleged. To support this, Justin shared a screenshot of a conversation with a producer, where he mentioned that Blake's refusal to meet with the coordinator could disrupt the filming process. Blake also claimed that during one scene, Justin allegedly kissed her neck and commented on how she smelled, despite the scene being a silent montage. However, Justin's legal team released footage from that scene, which showed that the encounter was far more lighthearted and mutual than Blake had described. In the video, both Blake and Justin can be seen joking around, with Justin playfully commenting on getting his beard on her, and Blake laughing in response, saying that he was probably getting her spray tan on him. When Justin said it smelled good, Blake casually replied that it was her body makeup. The footage suggests that the conversation was professional and friendly, far from the inappropriate encounter that Blake claimed in her lawsuit. The lawsuit then shifts focus to control over the film that Justin and Blake were working on. Justin claims that Blake launched a smear campaign against him because she had taken creative control over the project, even though it was originally developed by Justin's company Wayfarer Studios in partnership with Sony. Justin argues that despite being the director, he lost creative control to Blake, who was given a producing credit. In a shocking revelation, Justin's lawsuit claims that Sony sided with Blake to such an extent that the film's editors weren't even allowed to review her version of the final cut. In a text message, Justin asked his editors if they had seen Blake's edits, and the response was, "We are not permitted to look." Justin was stunned and later told his team that he had no choice but to comply with Blake's demands for the sake of the film's production. To make matters worse, Blake reportedly excluded Justin from the film's promotional events to ensure that her version of the film received more attention. This power struggle over the film led to even more tension between the two, with Justin feeling sidelined in a project that he had originally been at the helm of. But the tension didn't end there. Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, have reportedly been throwing subtle jabs at Justin for some time now, trolling him in ways that most people wouldn't even notice unless they knew the full context of the situation. When you start to connect the dots, it becomes clear that Ryan wasn't just being a supportive husband. He may have played a role in rewriting parts of the film's script. One cast member even confirmed that Ryan had tweaked multiple scenes and made significant changes to the film, which is something that very few actors would be allowed to do under normal circumstances. However, because of Blake's involvement, the usual rules didn't seem to apply. Blake had publicly praised Justin as one of the best directors she had ever worked with, claiming that other directors had always shut her down and refused to let her contribute. Wanting to be fair, Justin gave Blake creative freedom, a decision that would come back to haunt him. Blake ended up rewriting key scenes in the film, including a pivotal rooftop scene, which set off a chain reaction of changes that significantly altered the film's direction. In private messages between Blake and Justin, Blake even made references to Game of Thrones, comparing herself to Daenerys Targaryen, saying she had dragons on her side, referring to Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, who she implied would back her up no matter what. This name-dropping made it clear that Blake was using her influence in both the film and music industries to assert her control over the project. As the legal battle continues, more revelations are expected to come out, but for now, the situation remains messy. Blake's credibility has taken some significant hits, and the tension between her, Justin, and Ryan continues to grow.